Hey everyone, this is your host Brian, and welcome to episode 6. Today's topic, Brenda, my recent ex-wife. You can take the kids, but you'll never take my pride. Find out about all that and more on this week's episode of the Pause Button Podcast.
Are you sure you actually got the episode number right?
Yeah, no, I can count. I can count now. Funny enough, I remembered it was 6, because that's how old little Tommy was when Brenda took him away.
Jesus Christ, you named him after me?
It was you, Tom. I'm your father.
This isn't Boruto. You can't say that.
I'm trying. I don't know. I gotta do the intro thing. So, welcome to the Pause Button Podcast. Every other week, your 4 favorite hosts. Today, or 3 today. We've got the Sunshine Kid, Pat over there. We got the retro guy, Devante, and me. I'm Brian. Hi. We'll discuss pop culture topic, usually related to movies, music, shows, or video games, and we'll do our darndest to entertain you along the way, whether or not Tom will stay quiet when I go through this.
I guess I don't fucking exist,
You
Brian.
don't. Now stay quiet. You can expect surprising facts, funny jokes, deeply depressing monologues, and of course, unrelated witty banter. So sit down, shut up, and open your ears. It's time to hit pause. Now you can talk, Tom.
Now I don't want to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, what do we talk about today?
We are looking at Bioshock, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, we were going into the trilogy of games that counted 1 to infinite, because that's how numbers work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, according to Ken Levine.
Ken Levine is the kind of like grand designer of all this. He's like the George Lucas of the Bioshock world. If you don't know who George Lucas is, you're listening to the wrong podcast. My apologies. But there were 3 games that came out: 2007, 2010, and 2013. Set in the 1960s or the 1910s, and we'll get into that. But they've sold about 25 million copies total, which is about the same amount as Animal Crossing or Gears of War, if you know those. So we figured we'd go through and kind of talk about it, have some interesting tidbits and our experiences with it, and yeah. So let's go into Bioshock 1.
Great game. Good first-person sort of semi-survival horror based. Gotta scrounge for those for that ammo, find some decent weapons, have cool powers.
There's some awesome powers in it. I've been playing through it. I haven't gotten through all of it. I've gotten about maybe halfway through, and I forgot about some of the cool stuff you can do. Like there's one where you just shoot like bees out of your hands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you this: I would be dead. I wouldn't be able to inject myself.
Nope.
I'd be like,
Those are not little needles. They're enormous.
Yeah, wouldn't have worked out so well for me. Although I guess in a way he didn't really have a choice but to inject himself with the twist that comes at the end with him being brainwashed.
Well, way to ruin that for the people who haven't played this game in the past 12 years.
Yeah, that's on them at this point.
Yeah.
Would you kindly go and play this game? It's a good game.
Yeah, that another thing for our listeners. We are definitely spoiling these games.
Yeah,
so.
They never made child abuse look so good.
See, this is why I don't let Tom talk. Was I so wrong earlier? People probably felt like, oh, why is he so mean to Tom? Well, maybe that's why. Maybe if I had been there for a father for you, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that was always quite the choice, though. Kill these cute little sisters, or let them live.
Well, you know that 2K had a problem with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me look through my notes here about 2K and why they had an issue with the little sisters.
If you
thing.
can't tell, Brian is padding for time as he looks through his notes.
I am not padding for time. I'm simply filling in some seconds as I talk and scroll through this Google Doc of information on the game. And
I feel like you shouldn't have brought it up if you didn't already have the notes prepared.
Well, you brought up the topic, and then I was
I could have just kept talking, and then you would have found the notes while I was talking instead of cutting me off. And...
So, Pat, what was your what was your favorite part of the first game?
The first game, I mean, probably the same as what a lot of people's favorite part was when Andrew Ryan makes you kill him.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid
Yeah.
part.
That's my favorite. I feel like that's such a twist moment with the Would You Kindly and this guy that's been set up as this major enemy the entire game. He kind of dies with very little fanfare, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, if you haven't played this game, just to paint a picture, imagine Walt Disney, but run by the idea of like the Ayn Rand objectivism, like.
So Walt Disney.
Well, yeah. But he goes to build a city underwater where, like man can reach his full potential without being held back by God or, the government and all that. And it goes crazy down there and there's this crazy drug stuff. And, this guy has you kill him by saying the phrase, would you kindly, which is like you're brainwashed that you have to listen to people and they say that. By asking you to bash his skull and it was a golf club?
Golf club.
Yeah. And he's just like, would you...
and he's playing, like, he's sort of doing that stereotypical rich guy playing a little golf in his office.
Yeah,
and then when he's done ranting to you and make you listen to his whole villain spiel, he hands you the club and asks you to, would you kindly...
And as you hit him, like, he just keeps saying, like, a man chooses and a slave obeys. And he just keeps saying that. And, like, oh my God, it's messed up.
Very charismatic villain. Really enjoy him.
He's so good. So I got it here about why 2K wouldn't publish it. So the first idea was that these little girls who give you like the powers and all that, you either harvested them or saved them, and then the Big Daddy fought, and they were upset that the player would like be punished for saving the girl. Like you save her, and then you still have to fight this Big Daddy. Like they switched it, and they're like you have to kill the Big Daddy first, and then you can.
I actually like that. The change.
Yeah,
better.
it's better that way.
Yeah. Definitely a better decision.
There's also a pretty interesting fact that they weren't always going to be human, like humanoid little sisters.
Oh, yeah.
2K actually had the idea, which I think would have been a little bit weird. They were going to have them basically kind of like things you would have found inside the game, like sea slugs or even like dogs or maybe... I don't know, even like crabs showing up that you've been able to, notice that they had powers and you can either choose to absorb them or put them back out to, into the underwater world, depending on what the animal was, of course, they chose. But I think that would have been a pretty interesting concept, but I don't think it would have made that big of a impact as like the little sisters.
Wouldn't have had nearly the morality choice.
Right.
If it's between making yourself more powerful or the life of a crab,
right,
I want to choose myself.
That poor crab,
Like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, another thing I read about the development was that at one point the Big Daddies were all in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It's just they had a lot of different ideas on it. And actually, that leads me to another thing that
Another moment in that game that's really awesome is when you have to go down the long hallway with the water and you keep seeing the silhouette coming up and you're getting ready to fight. And then I think at the end of it, there's like a chest you open, and then when you turn around, the splicer is standing right behind you.
Oh, yeah.
That scared the crap out of me.
Or there's another one where you're in like a medical area and like they fumigate it or something, and there's this like all smoke, and then like you're looking in a mirror. I think, and then like it all disappears, and like he's just standing behind you in the mirror.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The splicers are really great, just a little extra aesthetic to the game.
Yeah.
One of another great moment with the splicer is there's this woman like crying over her baby carriage, and then if you kill her, which you pretty much have to pass the area, you'll see that her carriage just has a gun in it.
Yeah.
Like
she's
there's no
nuts.
infant still alive down here.
Well, I loved as I was playing it. You go into like this big open area, and it looks kind of like a shopping mall, and this elevator that's on fire comes crashing to the floor, and this dude runs out with a wrench on fire, screaming, charging at you. It's terrifying, but kind of funny. It's like, what? This place is insane.
I'm sorry to cut in, but I think one of my favorite parts is the part of the game where you have to take photos of people for the crazy artist.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And you just have to take like basically like crime photos of how you kill them in these very specific ways, and then it's kind of like once you kill the artist, you have to take a picture of him, and it's just like very like, hey, you got what you deserved, you fucker.
Okay, we got to get into like the different like not bosses, but you know like the personalities of this place. But before we do, I got to talk about like that thing I was talking about with the development and all that. So at one point, there was this game called System Shock 2 that like they were kind of. Did System Shock 2 come out? I couldn't find that out. I think
System Shock 2 came
okay,
out.
So they were planning to do a sequel to it, and then it didn't sell well enough, so then they started to do this. So like some of like assets came over with it, and they had some ninjas, and like they kept bringing it up. And at one point in a meeting, Ken Levine, the guy, threw down his glasses and yelled, "I don't want to hear anything about any fucking cyborg ninjas."
Nice.
You can tell he had some issues.
I mean, I don't blame him, though. It doesn't make any sense in the aesthetic of Bioshock.
No, yeah, it would have been some weird stuff.
I do have to say, if there's one weakness to the game, it's that I feel like the impact of the big daddies goes way down as the game progresses. Like, the first time you fight one, it is a frightening moment.
Well, even when they first introduce it.
Yeah.
When you're on the other side of that glass, and then, like, he drills the dude and bashes his skull in through the glass and everything.
Yeah.
You're like, here we go.
So when you finally fight him, it's this huge moment. But, of course, eventually you start picking up, like, armor-piercing rounds, and you have cool powers. And I think you could even, like, control them eventually.
Yeah, there's one that you just, like, have them fight with you.
Yeah, I feel like eventually it starts to be less like, here's the horror moment where you have to fight a big daddy, and it's more like, all right, time for me to get all my weapons ready, especially because they don't attack you right away until you attack them.
Exactly.
It's time to prepare yourself first.
Yeah, I do like that aspect of it. It's not like, oh, shit, they're here. It's like, just don't touch them. I'm going to make sure I got all, like, my rounds all set up. I'm going to make sure that, like, I'm ready to go to fight this thing.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I totally would have rather they had the big daddy kind of jump you.
Really?
Right. So, like, yeah, especially towards, like, the end of the game, like, shouldn't, like, the word going around, you know, that you're killing other big daddies? Right. You're like, hey, this is the guy here. Like,
he's killed every single one he's come across.
Right. Like I don't know.
Like, Andrew Ryan orders them to start killing you on sight or something.
Right, yeah, something.
Speaking of that, it's so cool that part of the thing that had those splicers go crazy, it's not just the drug that they're using to, like, kind of give them these powers, but also that he's, like, pumping pheromones into the city so that he can mind control them with that. It's such a weird, amazing world. I love the world they set up. So we got to go into, like, the different personalities of all the people that are there. So there's this guy called Dr. Steinman, and I got three quotes here from the game that I love. So it's the drug that is made from the stuff called Adam that they get from the sea slugs. And he said, "But with Adam the flesh becomes clay. What excuse do we have not to sculpt and sculpt and sculpt until the job is done?" Which is terrifying. Another one, talking about Picasso being bored and how he started to come up with, like, the Cubism art style. He was like, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could do with a knife what that old Spaniard did with a brush? Turning people, you know, like, eyes over here and, like..."
Well, that's morbid.
Yeah, it's so crazy. With genetic modifications, beauty is no longer a goal or even a virtue. It is a moral obligation.
I was pulling up some more Bioshock.
No, I mean, it's sometimes when you talk, I stop paying attention and, like, you know, just start watching some YouTube videos. It's fine.
That was an advertisement.
Do we get paid then? Is that how that works?
I don't know.
So we talked about the art guy. We talked about the doctors. Anybody else in the game, like, somebody of note that we should talk about? Other than the clown, the welcome to the circus of value at the...
How about the... God damn it, that clown. How about the actual main villain of the first game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Atlas. Yeah.
Yes.
Who's actually... what's his face? What's that guy's name?
Frank Fontaine.
Yeah, thank you. Frank Fontaine. Yeah, he does such a good job with the accent, where he's like he's a New Yorker, like, gangster, and then when he's Atlas, he's like an Irishman, and he sounds like, "Oh, I just want to find my wife and kid and protect them," and then they quote unquote die. They didn't exist, right?
No. I think they might have been, like, weapons or drugs that he was trying to procure, and that's why Andrew Ryan ends up blowing him up, and it pisses off Atlas so much.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't recall, to be fair.
That's fine.
Because there is a moment where he sends you to, like, it looks like the moment where you're going to finally succeed in getting what Atlas needs, and then it blows up in front of him, and Atlas starts screaming, "Oh, God." Yeah. So it was either Atlas's plan all along, but I think I specifically remember it being Andrew Ryan that wanted to blow it up, and he would not have been working with Atlas.
It was a submarine, so it could have just been his escape ship.
Yeah,
that's
like,
totally
viable.
Ryan and get out of here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One of the things that I really like about the game is the audiobooks that you pick up, like these little recordings, and I love when a game will, like, give you story if you want it, but if you just want to go through and shoot the things that want to kill you and just, you know, do that, you can do that.
I think they were the first ones to kind of do this, like, hey, you can listen to this audiobook while you're murdering people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is fair, because like based off like Resident Evil, if you found an audiobook, it takes you into a whole different screen that you're not moving, and it just reads you, voices over the audio that you can basically read yourself, but you can't continue to fight like Tom said here. Like you can't continue to murder the people that are trying to kill you while listening to the audiobook at the same time.
Good stuff. Sometimes
good response.
Sometimes it could be like a little too much though. Like there's like the splicers are all screaming, and like there's a big daddy that's like charging them, and like there's a camera that's like dinging every time you get into it, and you're like trying to listen to this audiobook and you're reloading, and it can get tense.
Well, why are you searching for stuff while you're fighting?
Fair.
All right. Maybe I should keep more focused on one thing.
So we should probably move on to Bioshock 2 soon.
Yeah.
Bioshock 2?
Right about now. Yeah.
Trying to make sure I got through everything I wanted to get through with the game itself.
I know, but we don't want the audio to get too long.
Define too long.
It's about 16 minutes in, and we have 2 more games to get through, so...
Well, see, Pat, the reason I'm okay spending longer on Bioshock 1 is because it's a better game than Bioshock 2.
Oh.
Incorrect. Bioshock 2 has a way more compelling story with you trying to save a character that's like your daughter, as opposed to the character of Jack from the first one, who I consider to be a blank slate character.
Do you know
who
why?
I never
Do you know
cared
why
about.
that's okay? Because the main character of Bioshock 1 isn't Jack. You're just a soulless husk. It's about the city. It's about the world.
Yeah, but now you've already completed your view of the city, so now you get a nice, better game where you have more interesting capabilities, a more compelling story with you trying to save your daughter.
But the world's more bland, and then it's just
No, it's not. It's not more bland.
Shooting game where you're just.
When was the last time you played Bioshock 2, Brian?
2012.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When was the last time you played it?
Like a year ago.
Oh, well, see, it's just not worth going back to.
It's very much a great game. I see why a lot of people feel like Bioshock 1 is better, and honestly, they're probably correct. But I just prefer Bioshock 2 because, like I said, I feel like it has a more compelling story than Bioshock 1. I would definitely say Bioshock 1 has the better villains. I never really felt like Sophia Lamb from Bioshock 2.
She's just a crazy lady.
She's just, evil scientist lady, But
you reminded me about the two things I want to talk about with Bioshock 1. Kind of relate to why I think it's better. The first one being that the whole, like, would you kindly brainwash, like, it's almost like a commentary about games then, that, like, you don't have much of a choice, you have to do this, like, to progress the story along, kind of thing like that. It was like a breaking the fourth wall kind of commentary on video games. And then the second part is, at the end, if you do decide to harvest the little sisters and not save them, like, you go up above and, like, there's, like, a Navy SEAL submarine, and then, like, the splicers attack, and then they make some comments about how, like, there's, like, nuclear bombs on it, and they're like, and you unleash evil. And it's like, do you end the world? Is that how this game ends? The bad ending?
I think that is the intention. Because you're a soulless, heartless
Such a
big
big
who's
jump.
murdering children in order to be
but
more
it's
powerful.
Such a big jump. But the canon ending is the first one, the kind one, the nice one, and you go into Bioshock 2, which happens about 8 years later.
Yep.
And you play as a big daddy.
Yeah, you play as Project Delta, I think his name is.
Yeah. He's like one of he was the first one that successfully bonded with a little girl.
So he had a very deep bond with Eleanor, who was eventually taken from him because she is the daughter of Sophia Lamb.
So, do you guys remember why she wanted Sophia Lamb wanted Eleanor?
No, I can't say that I do.
I can't say I remember anymore.
It's insane. So she wants to use Adam, the drug, to put the minds and memories of everyone in Rapture into her daughter Eleanor to create an embodiment of the family and end, quote-unquote, the self. What?
Yeah, like, what?
That's
more
some metaphysical shit right there.
Yeah, more interesting philosophies. Like, they really like to go into these different sort of philosophies when they're going into the heads.
No other game that I've played has gone so much into, like, philosophies on life. Like, it's just the way, like, it takes that and adapts to these characters. It's so cool how they do that.
Yeah, I would say so. But you know what I like about Bioshock 2 that I kind of like when we're talking about the big daddies? I felt like the big sisters in Bioshock 2 I felt like they were always a threat, like going out through like the whole game compared to the Big Daddies in Bioshock 1.
Yeah, every time you're about to fight a big sister, it scares you because you can
Yeah.
tell it's coming. Like
Right,
you can
yeah,
hear them
yep.
clacking around. The music, there'll be this like sharp musical spike.
Yeah. The music's real good.
when
They
they
do a job
jump
with that.
down. So the battles are intense.
Well, yeah, because like I think in terms of like being afraid, Big Daddies are terrifying. They're enormous hulking figures with a drill that will gut you. But Big Sisters have that like creepy, like long, lanky, distorted, jumping around all over the place kind of thing that like
Yeah.
it's just creepy.
Acrobatic fighting.
Yeah, you expect it to have like a full on like exorcism, like they're crawling on the walls and the head spins around and like
Right.
it's weird. It's some crazy stuff. Oh, that's the one thing about them. They originally planned for the Big Sister to be just one of them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and like you kill her at the end, but they didn't want to like have you not feel satisfied with her escaping every battle until the last one.
That makes sense. Another character I like is Augustus Sinclair,
Augustus Sinclair.
who I believe is a reporter that is assisting you. Like Dr. Tenenbaum sends this guy. He's a businessman to come help you out, and you spend the entire game like just talking to him. And he's sort of like an Atlas type character, so you're waiting the whole time for him to betray you.
Yeah.
Only it never happens. He
Right. He's actually the good guy.
yeah, except that he does eventually get captured and I think turned into a Big Daddy or something, and you're forced to kill him and put him down. But it's a sad moment, and I really like the way that plays on. You're just waiting for that moment where this really overly friendly guy betrays you, just like the first one, and then it doesn't at all. He was very much what he said he was, which was a businessman.
An important thing we got to mention with this one is that Ken Levine was not involved with this project because he had already started working on Infinite.
Yeah, he felt like he had already done everything he wanted to in Rapture.
Yeah, so that's another thing we got to talk about the development team. So Jordan Thomas was the creative director for this one instead, and he said it had to be in Rapture because it wouldn't be a Bioshock game if it wasn't there. Like, well, oof. Funny thing, buddy.
Yeah.
The next game we're going to talk about, they completely changed it to a whole different city. But another reason why Bioshock 1 is better than 2, Patrick, is that
Nope.
the first one sold about 4 million, and this one only sold like 3 million. And they wanted it to do 5 million, as you know, sequels usually do better. This is coming around the same time as Assassin's Creed 2 and Mass Effect 2, which are objectively like games that really improved upon the things that the first game did and way outsold them and all that, and 2 just did like okay. But,
Right, yeah. Do you think it's based, like you said, basically because it came out with came out at the same time as Assassin's Creed 2 and Mass Effect? Kind of got overshadowed a little bit, maybe?
I mean, yeah, and also it's just that sense of that, like, this wasn't DLC, but it's just a step past DLC, where it's just like, we're in the same world, we're using the same weapons.
The
story
I wouldn't really
drives
call
it.
it
It's a
that.
good story.
It's a different story, and it's that you're exploring different areas of Rapture. I feel like DLC would be a much better explanation if you're going through the same areas.
I think I have a bit of a biased view on it because we have Infinite, and Infinite's so different that, like, this just feels a little too samey, you know?
I guess.
It wasn't poorly reviewed at all, though. It got around, like, 8s and 9s. Games Writer gave it a perfect score. So, like, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the means, but
I think where it falls short is basically just, hey, we've already been to Rapture. You can't really surprise the audience with the same type of atmosphere that you did in the first game. So just hitting the same beats, it's kind of like, to go off of what Pat was saying, like, yeah, it does at least have a better story in that regard, like a moving force to propel the character forward, as opposed to the first one where it's just like, I'll take anyone's help, please.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to leave here.
Also, what drove Bioshock 1 so much was how different it was. Like, it's this, like, what would you say, 1940s vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1940s vibe at the bottom of the sea with these guys with these big drills, and it's like twisted Walt Disney running it, and there's like these drugged up crazy people with like claws, and it's like, this is unlike anything else. So that excitement disappears over time, you know, because it's just kind of all the same stuff. But anyway,
But like, aren't sequels supposed to have some similarities to their, prequel? I guess you should say.
That's true. You gotta build
like,
off of it.
I feel like if 2 didn't happen, that I feel like Infinite still, don't get me wrong, would have done very well.
Yeah.
But I think people would have been like, wait, what's going on? Like, kind of like, I mean, that's still kind of how it was with Infinite anyway, when they jump, from Rapture.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like this was like the bridge they needed to get to that point.
I can see on that. Yeah, they did need something to fill the gap, and this game did a good job with it. I would say. The idea of staying in Rapture for it, that you are a Big Daddy, that it's set a couple of years later, all good stuff. Moving on to want to move on to Infinite?
Sure.
Okay, so Infinite was, I mean, you could objectively say it's the best one of them, right?
There's a huge debate about that, actually. A lot of people prefer Bioshock 1 and its darker themes to Bioshock Infinite, especially because Infinite takes a lot of the choices away from you. That being said, I am of the opinion that the series just gets better with every game. So I think Bioshock Infinite is easily the best, in my opinion.
So I did some research into like the development of it and all that. And there was a point where Ken Levine, who's back on this one, almost put it in the Renaissance. 1400s, jesters and knights, like, that would have been something.
Would have been interesting, but I'm not sure if it would have flowed with all the technology.
Yeah,
no,
that definitely wouldn't fit.
At that point, they're just basically doing, like, Skyrim magic stuff,
Yeah.
But he was also influenced by, you guys know that book, The Devil in the White City?
Heard of it.
By Eric Larson. It came out in 2003.
I did read it.
Yeah, I think it's a movie, too. It's about H.H. Holmes, which was like a murder in Chicago, and then like Daniel Burnham, who was like the architect at like the World's Fair during then and all that.
It's a mystery novel. You don't know who the hell the killer is.
Well, now we do. He was also influenced by the Occupy movement, back in like 2012, like the Occupy Wall Street, the 1%, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So you can see that stuff kind of like pop up in there and all that. But I think what the most exciting part about it is how he included like the multiverse and like constants that happen in all versions of reality and all that. That driving this game really, when this stuff pops up in culture, it's so interesting how people handle it and all that.
Right, yeah, and I think isn't this one technically you have like your first sidekick, right? That's what you like throughout the whole game.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
I think you can say is one of the best, if not the best, unplayable character sidekicks ever invented.
Whoa. Fable 2 had a dog.
No, you did have a good boy in Fable.
He was a good boy, but did this good boy rip into other versions of reality to get you ammo when you needed it?
And toss you and flip you a nice gold coin here and there.
Yeah.
And never be in the way.
Yeah. That was the best decision, that it wasn't like you have to protect this person.
She's good. She's
like
good.
Escort mission. It was, she just goes off to the side, tosses you the help that you need, and lets you rip open reality to create like barriers or weapons and explosives or allies.
The voice acting of Troy Baker, who did Booker, and then Courtney Draper, who did or Draper, I'm not sure which one it is, who did Elizabeth. It's so good. The emotion that those two carried together was.
Oh yeah, they have a great like. They flow off of each other very well. That just his jaded older personality. He's been through so much, having fought in wars and like worked for the Pinkertons, and now he's just like a private investigator.
Yeah.
And how she is literally a Disney princess.
Yeah.
She lives in her own tower.
Yeah, has her protective guardian. She likes to dance. She has a magical power.
Yeah.
Like, that's everything about her. And you watch sort of the deconstruction of that throughout the game as she realizes the beautiful world around her is capable of such dark evils.
Yeah, there's some dark evils. So if you haven't played this game, it's set in 1912 in a floating city called Columbia that uses quantum levitation to fly. You can put quantum in front of stuff, and then it's like, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then at some point, if you know what the Boxer Rebellion is, it's like a rising up that happened in China. Mm-hmm. The big surprise, the people in 1912 were terribly racist, and they shot a whole bunch of Chinese civilians, and then the U.S. government disowned them, and then they started to make the founding fathers like religious symbols.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff.
It's interesting. They're not technically part of the U.S., but they considered like the founding fathers to be this basis for religion, and they are like the perfect America.
Oh, there's
Right.
like statues of them like shirtless with the most jacked muscles possible. Brent Franklin just like flexing. That's crazy.
Don't forget the George Washington bots that had machine guns.
Oh, I forgot about those things. Yeah. Like if they were gonna try to follow up with the Big Daddies, that was a good follow.
They also had great lines while they were shooting at you. The Lord, I believe, the Lord judges, I act.
That's great. Yeah, and I really enjoy the antagonist for this game, Zachary Comstock.
But Pat, isn't that also the main character of this game?
Oh, that's the twist.
So, funny story about that. I was introduced to this game by Pat in his basement that we're sitting in right now. I came over to visit, and he's playing the end of the game. I really want to play this game. I get to watch as the entire big reveal that the main villain is actually an alternate version of you, and you bash his skull into a bird bath. Yeah. And I just, mouth open, just stare at Pat like, what's going on? What? You killed yourself, but it's not you? And now I know the whole twist of this game.
Yeah.
And I still enjoyed it, but you stole that from me.
Yeah, damn right. I wasn't going to stop playing at that point. I was way too into it.
I came down like 5-10 minutes before that, and it was still just enough to pull me in. I was like, this is amazing. I have no fucking clue what's happening, but this is so cool.
Oh, yeah. There's the action sequences are great. The changing plasmids into vigors, I think, was a good idea. You drinking it like almost like a potion or elixir, I feel like just works with the brighter vibe of the game.
Oh, the like 1910s, like good old America, like it's so good.
Exactly, and I really love that they give you like sort of a sequence with each new ability you get. With him, like his hand bursts into flame and his skin melts off for a moment. Or I believe with the water one you get, like barnacles form on your hands and things like that.
That is correct.
Yeah.
What happens with the crow one? Do you like grow
I think for a moment you have some feathers and you're in like claws and a bird lands on you with like an eyeball on its beak.
So we talked about like the weird powers you get in Bioshock 1 with like the Adam and the Eve and all that stuff. This one, you can shoot crows from your hand, just like a murder of crows or ravens or whatever. They just fly out.
You get bees in the first one, don't you? Or is that the second one?
Yeah. Which bees is it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But like the crows, when you fight, when you fight that guy, is he carrying a coffin?
Yeah. The first time you see him, he is torturing and executing an Asian man. I'm assuming just for being Asian.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty. It shows racism very blatantly in that.
Yeah, they are not afraid. Like.
There's that. I think the first moment that breaks the facade of this utopia is when you go into the fair, and I think it's Jeremiah Fink is the name of the top hat, the guy wearing the top hat that owns the big business.
It is 1910s gentleman,
and he has this nice rally going on, and there's this brief moment where this woman comes up with the raffle tickets, and he goes, "Isn't that the prettiest white woman you've ever seen?" And you just go, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And then the curtains open and a bunch of monkeys appear and they are celebrating the wedding of an Irishman to a black woman.
And are they throwing baseballs or stones?
It's to win the right to throw a baseball at them, which you get to choose to either do or not do, but it doesn't have any repercussions either way because as you pull the hand back, they notice that you have the symbol of
the devil.
The devil.
Was it
like
42 on your hand?
Yeah.
Why do I remember that number?
I don't know.
Why is it 42?
I actually don't know if it's 42.
I'm gonna Google this picture.
But it's a dark moment, and that's the moment where everything goes to hell. Because that's the moment when you slaughter the cop by ramming his face on the saw blade that you use.
The grip, the hook that you get.
The hook, oh, God. That hook is amazing. That's another one of the reasons I really prefer this to Bioshock 1, is I feel like the fun of just like roller coastering around a fight while shooting from them or throwing fireballs is amazing. And they really take advantage of that. The fact that you're in the sky, like you can throw enemies off, and I think you get like rewarded for like an achievement or a trophy.
For throwing them off the map.
Throwing them off the map because they literally are going to fall for a long time to their death.
So it wasn't 42. The sign says, "You shall know the false shepherd by his mark," and it's an AD on your right hand.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. For Anna DeWitt.
Oh, which is
that
the
was
name of
Elizabeth's real name.
Yeah, so Elizabeth's your daughter, and the reason that she's in this
made me feel real bad for shipping them at the beginning of the game. I was like,
yeah,
right? Man, these two are such a cute couple. Aw, he's her Prince Charming. Oh, God, no.
Wait, never mind.
The reason she's there and the reason you're there is because Comstock, the alternate version reality of you, lost his daughter, so he stole this version of his daughter.
It's not even that he lost his daughter. He was incapable of having a child because of all the experiments with reality bending he had done with the Lutesses.
Right, yeah. Which the Lutesses are two scientists that are the same.
They claim to be twins, but eventually you find out that Rosalind Lutess wanted someone that would understand her more, so she found her brother in another universe.
No, it's
not her brother, herself in another universe that is a man.
Yeah,
and they work together, but they act like twins, but they are the same person, just different genders. And they have slight differences. Like Robert Lutess is like a little more, like he has a little more of his humanity to him. Like he feels a
less
little
robotic.
Yeah, he actually feels like sad over what's happening with Elizabeth, but it doesn't stop him from still, partaking in the experiment. But
yeah. And another great moment back before, everybody sees your mark and you have to start shooting everybody is, do you remember when the Barbershop Quartet just floats up?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
walking along and then this Barbershop Quartet just pops up. It's in 1910, by the way, and they're singing a version of a Beach Boys song.
Yeah.
It's so like
God only knows, which once again fits the themes of religion.
The musical director of the game, Gary Scheinman, said that they were going more for get people to feel things as opposed to historical accuracies. And they're jumping between realities. Like, I'm sure, there's a reality where the Beach Boys, showed up in, 1905. And then,
Yeah, well, you see, there's actually a specific... So you get these, audio logs, just like you did in the first two. And you can go into this famous, musician or composer in the world at one point, into his shop. And he apparently regularly would have tears form in his shop, and he would overhear the music from other realities, and that's how he would compose these songs.
This game is amazing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, we all love this game, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this game came out in 2013, which, if you don't remember, was one of the best years of video games in the history of video games.
Didn't Last of Us come out that year
The
too?
Last of Us, GTA 5, and A Link Between Worlds, which is a pretty good game. But just those two alone, GTA 5 is one of the highest selling video games of all time, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's even still selling to this day.
Yeah, and with that stuff still coming out, Bioshock Infinite won Game of the Year from 42 different places, including CNN, Entertainment Weekly, and Forbes. Which, I mean, I haven't beat The Last of Us. I've been trying to tell myself to get around to it eventually. I think I might like this one most out of those three.
Personally, I do. I can definitely see an argument though for either of those. Both, GTA 5 is a great game. Last of Us has a brilliant story.
I'm a little biased. I just love Ashley Johnson.
Oh, okay.
So The Last of Us takes my vote.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think I'm on the GTA side. Just because when you get introduced to, I think that's the first game that you get introduced in the GTA game that you can play as different characters throughout the whole game. And for it to come together at the end, granted, they still haven't come out with DLC because it was still kind of left open-ended. But for it all to fall together and you get attached to these characters and you realize Trevor is a crazy person. But this isn't a GTA episode, so we'll move on from that. But I'm on the GTA side.
Another thing I really like in Infinite is how they address the issues of businesses without unions, and I did look it up. It is Jeremiah Fink. I was correct.
Oh, nice.
He sort of rules as he has his own currency. Everyone has to live by his rules.
Yeah.
I think you have 4 hours of 4 hours of sleep a day or something like that, and it's all the rest of it is work. You live in his cities essentially. All weaponry goes through him, and it's sort of a critique of capitalism. It is a look at sort of the just an issue with a world just unfetteredly, a world unfettered by laws and control of business.
Yeah, that's some interesting stuff.
And it's interesting seeing sort of the war between Fink and Daisy Fitzroy, who is sort of this rebel leader, freedom fighter.
Let's not be racist kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. But Booker is very clear to show that there's like Daisy Fitzroy isn't a great person either. Like she's a killer
and atrocities.
She's a terrorist. I think the DLC Burial at Sea kind of ruins that a little bit by revealing like that she was kind of in on it all along, and it was just pretending so that Elizabeth would murder her. It was stupid.
There was some stuff.
I'm not a fan of the Burial at Sea DLCs personally.
It was interesting that you can go back to Rapture and all that,
but it's an unnecessary job of wrapping up Elizabeth's story, who is a character who frankly should have just continued to exist in any future Bioshock games that come out.
The end of that game when she with all those versions of her like drown you in a baptism.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
When they show all different, when it's just her and Booker walking along the lighthouse, and you can look out and see all different versions of her doing the same thing. It really does, in a way, just kind of set up. Yeah, we can just keep doing this with different cities and different lighthouses, and there's always a girl.
There's always a lighthouse. There's always a man. There's always a city.
Right. So that gets me to my favorite part of the game. It's like when you basically when you go to save Elizabeth, when you're trying to take the siphon out, basically so she can use her powers to the fullest extent. So that's when that's right after you're able to control Songbird for the first time.
Songbird is a giant flying robotic bird.
Yep. Correct. Yeah, and one of the first you're like, holy crap! Like, Elizabeth has a bird that she's connected with. So at first you're a little paranoid about it. But jumping back to my point, once you get to the siphon, you lose control of Songbird, and Songbird starts attacking Elizabeth and Booker. And Elizabeth actually tears a hole that you go back to Rapture for the first time in the video game. It actually takes you back to Rapture. I thought that was a cool, homage to even back to the first game or even the second game. But, at this point, you get a little bit connected to Songbird, and you see him die to the pressure of the water because he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't get inside Rapture. Yeah. He's on the outside, so you just see Songbird get crushed, and you're like, holy crap. Like,
it's an emotional moment.
He does that, like, I'm a sad pet dying. He touches the glass, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah. I don't want to do that,
sorry.
Man. I'm sorry. So, I do want to keep talking about it, but we do have to move on, because there's one thing we didn't talk about, and it was the film that was planned. So, it was going to be based on the first one. And the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean, Gore Verbinski, was going to direct it. And it was going to be written by John Logan, who wrote Gladiator and The Aviator.
Huh.
All amazing films.
This could have been something. But they canceled it because Watchmen didn't do well enough in the box office.
Oh, so they didn't feel like that vibe would work.
Dark,
for Bioshock 1. I'm assuming it would have been based on Rapture and not...
Yeah, they also wanted to film it overseas to make it a little bit cheaper, and then Gore Verbinski was like, "No, I don't want to do that," so he went and made Ringo instead.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well then.
But according to Kotaku, Sony Pictures owns the name Bioshock for a movie since 2014. So
this will help. Maybe if Watchmen, that HBO show, does pretty well, you're like, hey, look. Let's make the movie.
Yeah, Verbinski even said now in a post-Deadpool world, it could happen. He said it in 2017. So,
I'd be down for it, but who could we see playing, I guess, Jack in the first game?
I mean, Jack's kind of a faceless character, so I almost feel like any actor could.
Yeah, any stereotypical. Honestly, I would want a Bioshock Infinite movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Either one would be really interesting. I feel like Bioshock 1 would be the go-to, though, just because that'd be really... I feel like that would be a cooler looking place to explore in a movie.
You don't have to. If you do Infinite, you do risk the possible political issues between the revolt in America and all that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So one last thing I wanted to bring up was so Ken Levine is now gone from 2K Studios, and he had no intention of making another Bioshock game after this. But I would be very surprised if 2K let Bioshock die. And
they're not.
No?
No, so Jason Schreier, the guy over at Kotaku, said that the fourth game is under work at 2K Games without Ken Levine. It's being developed by developers called Hangar 13, and its codename is Parkside. So, what do you think they're doing?
Yeah.
What's like the philosophy behind this game? Where and when is it going to be?
Well, they've proven that they really like hanging out around the early 20th century, I guess.
Yeah.
Early 1900s. As for what, I would assume they'll either... it wouldn't surprise me if they want to return to Rapture again. But I would rather they do some sort of new type of city. As for that, I've seen a lot of people joke like, "Oh, here's the city in a volcano or something."
It's hot outside.
Geothermal city. I could see it.
That's actually pretty cool. I like that.
I would say that the political topic that they might go for would be like freedom of speech.
Ooh.
In regards to what's happening nowadays. It's like, hey, we're going to force you to say what we want you to say.
A newspaper kind of thing?
Yeah.
You're a reporter or
Exactly.
something?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll do that because that's what We Happy Few was kind of based off of, and that game is utter garbage. Don't buy it.
I think the gameplay in that game is garbage. I think the concept
The concept is great. I would give
Cool
them that
trailer.
because it is based off, freedom of speech. You play as a reporter who has to basically approve news articles
Oh.
throughout the whole time, and you get at the beginning of the game, you get the option of approving a news article that basically throws somebody under the bus, and you can accept it or not. Like again, like with Bioshock, it doesn't really make a difference, but what you do. But basically, it's like the premise of that game is the government wants everybody to appear happy, even though they live in the slums. They take these pills that make you happy the whole time, so everything looks great. So it kind of like takes away your free will to do, and you're one of the people who doesn't take his pills. You realize that everybody's eating like rats and stuff, but when you're in the pills, it looks like you're eating cake.
Yeah.
Like the premise is good. The gameplay is utter garbage. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I don't know if they'll do that one, but maybe they'll do it anyway and just make it better.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping
So,
for.
do you guys... I came up with a whole idea. You want to hear it?
Sure. Try to make it fast because
Yeah,
we're
I'll be quick.
approaching the end.
So I'm thinking it's going to be set in the 1980s, just because that's the cool thing these days. There's going to be a female protagonist, possibly Elizabeth, but I could see them trying to stay away from that.
Didn't Elizabeth die?
You know how things are. They bring people back. 'cause
That's
they're
true.
fan
He does make a
favorites.
good point.
Yeah.
They'll make an excuse that she's back.
I was thinking they could be underground, like a mole rat people kind of thing, or it could be set in space, maybe like a moon base that like has been like their vibe is the 1950s because they've been there and they've been separated from the rest of the world. Maybe there's like a Chinese kind of vibe to it, or I don't know, moon Nazis could be a thing.
No, we're not.
Moon Nazis, come on!
They already made a movie like that. We're not.
I want to shoot Nazis on the moon. What's so wrong with
I
that?
feel like if they're going to the moon, that would be a more 1960s vibe with the whole like space race in the 60s.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I thought the 50s would be cool.
I didn't
Like
think
rock
that
and roll on
would.
the
I didn't
moon,
think you'd be
man.
dejected from my suggestion.
I want Elvis in an astronaut suit. All right. I want Hound Dog in space.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note,
Yeah. So it's time to wrap up. We hope you enjoyed. We'll be coming out with some more episodes as we go on. I don't know. I forget what the next one's gonna be, but we'll see. It'll be just as good as this one. If you enjoy it, tell your friends and follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all that, and keep a lookout as we continue posting and let us know what you think. We would love to hear some feedback. So even if you thought this was trash, let us know why it's trash. Any closing comments?
great game series. I highly recommend it. They have the whole collection now on current consoles. So
Graphics are great.
yeah, honestly, give it a play. Really.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than that. Yeah, give it a shot. It's probably one of the best first-person shooter, like story-based games out there. So why not give it a shot?
I could agree with that.
With Halloween coming up, a Booker DeWitt and Elizabeth costume idea is always great.
Yeah, it's a good one. Very good group costume, kind of like couple thing. Yeah, unless yeah. So that sums it up. I got nothing else to say. So, Tom, we need a topic for next week. What's our next topic?
Next week, we discuss how making moonshine in your tub is more cost-effective than buying alcohol.
Ooh, exciting.
We hope to have you folks there.
All right. But until then.
Now we're going to hit pause.